Hello, school board members. My name is Amanda Strickler-Holman, and I am here today to share my knowledge on culturally responsive instruction and behavioral support. So for starters, we'll tap into a definition of what is culturally responsive instruction and behavioral support. So according to Lynch, culturally responsive instruction is a student-centered approach in teaching in which students' cultural strengths are identified and supported to promote student achievement and a sense of belonging in their environment. So what are we trying to provide? Through these practices, we are utilizing cultural knowledge and life experience of those students and connecting them from what they bring with their homes and communities to set high expectations for behavior and learning. So we're using where students come from to help the learning environment and make it relevant to them. A definition for behavior support practices, I think a thing to remember is we know students who feel safe and accepted in their classrooms by their teachers will likely become more successful, and if they feel safe and supported, they are less likely to cause behavior problems within. So how do we measure that? Or these strategies are put in place. They're put in place because we are trying to prevent and provide intervention approaches for decreasing student problem behaviors and supporting all students. We follow a framework that consists of evidence-based practices from the data that we've collected, and we use a multi-tiered system of support so that we can achieve academic and social success of all students that we see day to day. So what do we do at USD 257 that already enhances these two practices of culturally responsive instruction and behavior support practices? So at the high school at USD 257, I know that we do SIT referrals. So we see those struggling students. We fill out a SIT form on them to see what needs and offer support for them. They get put in a more specialized individual where we can work on that, whether that is organizational skills, whether they need more one-on-one, etc. Opportunity to respond, we do that behavioral strategy through TASN. We do that at the high school and in every classroom. That is a strategy that we have implemented. Throughout the district, we continue to build relationships with students. I know at the high school we started collecting data office referrals to discuss in our grade level teams, and we have just started doing that, trying to limit office referrals. And then at the elementary, I know that we have a program where social and emotional learning lessons take place. The counselors come into classrooms and do lessons with that once a week or maybe once every other week. And then also at the high school, we have our MAGIT program. We need a better acronym for that. The students don't know that's what it's called, but the thing behind it was it's supposed to be Mustangs achieving great goals on time. And these students are placed in a one-on-one scenario with a teacher that there are way less students in that seminar to get caught up on work, to have extra help, and just help those organizational skills of that student as well in a much smaller setting with a trained teacher. So who is responsible for seeking out students who would benefit from these practices? The teachers, the counselors, administration, and our building leadership team would help identify these students that could use these extra supports. What impact for teachers or faculty involved? Stronger connections can be created and have been made. It has been and can be an eye-opening experience for teachers to understand where some of these kids are coming from and learn a little bit more about them. And it requires some adaptation and some change, but it's all for the greater good. Students who are involved in these practices and the level of impact it's had on them It has increased their involvement and created a greater sense of belonging, which we hope that all students feel within our school system. Those students not directly involved, I think everybody should be in some way or form, because it takes all of us to function, and we're all in it together as a district. So some methods and practices through the research that I've collected, some of these things that we are already doing at USD 257, but I say 10, but I've listed 11 culturally responsive instruction methods that some we use and some we could start using. The little things include make sure we're pronouncing students' names correctly. Maybe learn a few words in students' native languages. Greet them in that language. Establishing positive relationships with not only the student, but also the parent and community. Allow students to collaborate and work in groups. Maybe provide student choice on assignments. And then, through my list, you can read the rest. Some behavioral support practices. I say 10, but yet again, I've listed 11. I know the ones that we are doing currently at the high school is opportunity to respond. We are collecting data. I know at the elementary, we're doing social emotional learning lessons. But some other things that could be incorporated is behavior-specific praise, provide supportive environments, create a team of trained professionals to handle interventions. And a simple thing that we could all do as teachers is write and follow a scripted lesson plan, because we know if students are engaged and on task, they are less likely to be a disruption within the classroom. So who would benefit? The students who would benefit the most from these two practices, culturally responsive instruction and behavioral support practices, are our ELL students, our students with disabilities, our students coming from a low income or extreme poverty, Black students, and minority students. Really, everyone would benefit from these two practices, as we are a team and all function together. And then don't forget about the teachers too, as they would also greatly benefit from these two resources. What could we do at our district to implement right now to help that progression? Social emotional learning lessons, which we are doing at our elementary, but maybe we could start doing that at higher levels as well. The opportunity to respond, we are doing that at the high school level as a team, and that could be something easily implemented at all levels in our district. And then continuing to make deeper connections with students and getting to know them and incorporating their culture. And finally, these are my references. So I hope we have gained a little bit more knowledge about what it is and what culturally responsive instruction and behavioral support look like.